Hi children, welcome to English literature. After a long time, let's discuss a very important poem in grade 10 English literature syllabus, The Eagle. The Eagle is written by Alfred Lord Tennyson. As you know, Alfred Lord Tennyson is considered to be the poet laureate, that means the official writer, official poet of the king or the palace. He lived during 1809 to 1892. During the Victorian era, during the Queen Victoria's period, he lived and he has written this poem, The Eagle. Now let's analyze the poem. And before that, I am going to read the poem for you. He clasped the crag with crooked hands, close to the sun in lonely lands. Ringed with the azure world he stands. The wrinkled sea beneath him crawls. He watches from his mountain walls, and like a thunderbolt he falls. Now when you look at this poem, you can find it is a very short and sweet poem. It has two tercets. The poem begins with the technique of personification. He clasped the crag with crooked hands. Now, you know the eagle is considered as a flesh-eating or a carnivorous bird. It is an isolated bird and it likes to live in isolation. It is considered as the king of the bird's kingdom. It is very powerful and very majestic type of bird. The writer uses the symbol of eagle to represent God or nature. This poem has a lot of reference to Greek mythology, Greek philosophy. So without knowing the references, we can't understand this poem. It is categorized under the theme of nature, but it's greatly associated with Greek mythology. Now let's see the first line. He clasped the crag with crooked hands. Now the poem begins with the pronoun he, the masculine pronoun he. He clasped the crag. Clasp means hugs or grabs. The crag means a rock. This bird lives in a rocky area, at a remote place away from human touch. And you can find the writer develops a visual image of this bird. It has crooked hands. Crooked means not straight. Its hands are curved. Actually the writer uses the pronoun he and the word hands that are associated with humans. You know, an eagle is not a human being. It's a bird. But the writer uses the pronoun he to describe the bird. This is a technique he has used to describe this bird. He clasped the crag with crooked hands, close to the sun in lonely lands. Now this particular bird lives in isolation, away from human touch. Ringed with the azure world he stands. Now another image the writer uses is azure world. Azure world means the color of blue. Now the writer uses an image or a visual image to describe the background of this particular bird. It lives in a world of bluish color. At a distance, when you see this bird, you can see the sea is there, which is bluish in color, and the sky also is blue. So this color background, this blue color background is associated with this description of the first stanza. He clasped the crag with crooked hands, close to the sun in lonely lands, ringed with the aged world he stands. When you come to the second stanza, the first line, the wrinkled sea beneath him rolls. He watches from his mountain walls, and like a thunderbolt he falls. The wrinkled sea, you can see the word wrinkled is associated with old age. When the people get old, their skin becomes wrinkled. So, the bird is at a higher place and it can see the sea beneath or below its feet. The sea is coming, wrinkling. The sea is secondary when we compare the bird's majestic nature. The bird is powerful, the eagle is the king, the eagle is the royalty, the eagle is the goat. He watches from his mountain walls. Now you can see this bird is very vigilant about the changes of the sea. He watches from his mountain walls, that is the place of residence. The bird lives or perches at a mountain wall, and like a thunderbolt he falls. You can find how this bird attacks its prey. It's looking at some kind of prey or fish, and once it sees the fish or the prey, it falls like a thunderbolt, and it's very devastating, it's very dangerous in its approach. So very simple phenomenon is described by the poem. You can see the writer develops an image of the bird and its background and how it shows its power and its majesty on the environment. When you look at this poem, we have to remember that the god of Zeus in Greek mythology, the bird eagle is associated with the god of Zeus. The god of Zeus' vehicle is eagle, and his weapon is thunderbolt. You have to remember those things. So this has a reference to God. The writer metaphorically views the eagle as the most powerful being in this world. This is none other than the god of Zeus, the god. In Christian poems, in Christian background, we have to remember English literature. In English literature, these poems are always associated with some kind of mythology, Greek mythology. So that's why this poem comes under the theme of nature, because God is the most powerful element, most powerful figure in this nature. There is no one else who is more powerful than nature. Nature is God, God is nature. So this is the connection given in this poem. The beauty or the uncontested power of nature is very well highlighted in this poem. And also, the impermanence of power also is brought out in this poem. The word fall represents that, because power is not permanent. Even the most powerful kings like Ashoka, Hitler, Napoleon, all those people, they lost their power at the end. So the writer brings out the theme that power is not something permanent. It is associated with some kind of impermanence. Nature is the most powerful element in this world. There is nothing more powerful than nature. Once the nature becomes dangerous or devastative, it is very dangerous. Nature is very powerful, and everybody in this world is under the power or influence of nature. So those themes also are associated with this poem. We have to remember, and the techniques. Now let's analyze the techniques used by the writer. The personification technique is a very visible feature in this poem. He and the term hands are used by the writer to describe the bird eagle. And another feature is shortness. Only 3 lines are there in the first tercet, and in the second tercet also there are 3 lines. So shortness is an element of beauty of this particular rhyme. Then personification, the technique of personification is there, and the bird eagle represents God, who is the most powerful element in this nature. And also the word hyperbole also is highlighted in this poem. See crawling. Now, you would crawl in front of a person who is very powerful. If you see a king or a queen, the citizens or the subjects would go on crawling. So in front of the bird eagle, the sea is crawling. So the bird is more powerful. So we have to remember these techniques, and it develops a very beautiful visual image. You can see the color of blue is associated with the sea and the sky. Alright, now let's see the rhyming pattern. When you look at the first line, hands, land, stands, the rhyming pattern is A. When you look at the second stanza, crawls, walls, folds, the rhyming pattern is B. Here we can see the rhyming pattern is quite regular. The regular rhyming pattern is brought out, and within 2 tercets the poem is written, and it creates a very beautiful